Ruchit Jain, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's start out with Jet Airways, SpiceJet, Interglobe on the charts.
Hi, good morning, Ashu. Well, probably one needs to see a bit longer term charts if they are looking at the airline charts. You see Jet Airways, SpiceJet charts. Then last 3-4 months, I think since January 2016, since the month of January, they have not done that good. In fact, they have corrected in spite of markets going up from February end or from the start of March. But if you see the broader term charts, if you look at last 1 year or 1.5 year charts, what these stocks have done, that they have started forming an impulsive up move. Probably Jet Airways has completed its third wave on the higher side in the month of January on around 800 levels. And now after this recent correction, I think again these stocks have been building the base at the lower levels. So I don't think that these stocks would correct significantly from current levels, although the policy statement says that it not be benefiting the existing airlines. But I think these stocks somewhere now around current levels would form the base again for a next leg on the upside, which would be in the form of wave 5 on the upside. So I think one should not be much bearish on these airlines. Jet Airways specifically, if we see, then 535, 540 was a good support range from where yesterday it bounced back again. Although that may be due to short covering after the news was out, after the news came yesterday. But I think this would kick up the momentum. The shorts would be out of the system over here. And with a stop loss below 535, I think one should look to create long positions over here. Since the momentum is positive, the volumes would coming in as the stock moves higher after forming the base around these levels. Interglobe Aviation does not have much history because it's a newly listed stocks, and hence giving a view on the base of the charts, it's very difficult for that. But I think amongst the both of the SpiceJet and Jet Airways, I would prefer going long on the Jet Airways even at current levels.
Ruchit, did I hear you correctly? Did you say wave 5? Is this Mr. Elliott's wave?
Yes, it's basically Elliott wave analysis. If you observe the Jet Airways, it started its impulsive up move from June 2015 when the prices were trading around 250 levels. After completing its first wave around 428 in August 2015, that is almost 2-3 months, the stock again corrected to form wave 2 around 280. Then usually as per the Elliott wave terms, the wave 3 is the most powerful wave which we see in any leg of uptrend. That's what we saw in the Jet Airways from August 2015 to December or January 2015. Even though markets were not doing that great, even the mid caps have corrected during this phase. We saw that the wave 3 of this entire impulsive wave count led to a big up move from 300 to 750. That is more than double the stock in almost 1 year. So I think that was the wave 3 which ended over here. We may not see that powerful rally going ahead, wherein the stock doubled in 1 year's in 1 year's time frame, because that wave 3 is behind us. This is a corrective wave going on, and right now the prices are trading at the lower levels of this corrective wave 4. So I think it's a good opportunity. Those who have a bit longer term time frame, maybe 3 to 6 month time frame, if one is having, then one should look to accumulate this stock in this zone.
So just in case you're getting confused about this wave, please don't be. There was some gentleman called Mr. Elliott who was an accountant somewhere in 1871 in the US. So basically he thought that people have moods. So sometimes they're optimists for a long time and sometimes they're pessimists for a long time. And so he called them waves. Maybe he was near the sea or something, so he kind of looked at the long time item. But it only applies to longer term charts. Don't get carried away with Mr. Elliott on shorter term charts. It will not work. Okay, we'll look at a couple more stocks. But again, on the FDI, just which from a stock market perspective, what benefits? Auto certainly. So if you're looking at a long term perspective, because look, if you have 5 or 10 million jobs created, people are going to buy cars, right? Real estate. And you've seen real estate stock movers, banks, financial service companies. I'll come to a couple of them, retail, and also financial services I mentioned. What doesn't benefit is pharmaceuticals. Anyway, on the technical charts, pharmaceutical stocks are in the dumps, and so are airline stocks. So those two areas really don't benefit from them. Maybe food processing. It's an interesting phenomenon. I don't know in food processing what kind of skill set is there. So maybe nothing happens there. But Mohit, let's first take your stocks for today, and then I have a couple that we'll go through.
Sure. So yesterday the cement sector actually was doing very well and went a little unnoticed. So I have a few buy calls in that. Ultratech is looking good in the charts. It's seen a good up move. That's a buy with a stop loss at 345. We could see targets of 3,000, 3440. You could see targets of 3400 to 3420 on that. Even ACC is looking good in the charts, and this could move higher towards levels of 1620. It's a buy with a stop loss at 1560. And Ambuja is also looking good in the charts. It's seen a really good up move yesterday. We could see levels of 250 to 255 next on Ambuja. That's a buy with a stop loss at 238.
You know, we are going to be facing a major event this week, which is the United Kingdom. So the markets will be occupied by it. I would, you know, if you can avoid trading, great, because, or if you have any open positions, you may just want to be a little careful. Hemant will be joining, especially if you have margin positions. We may run into some extreme volatility before the market decides. Ruchit, first I'll just take the stocks you have on your list today. And even if you have some mid-cap stocks, if you could mention that, then we'll go through a couple others.
Yeah, so I have most of the mid-cap stocks on my list today. Well, probably after index now heading towards its resistance of 8300, 8330, I think rather than large-cap, mid-cap stocks for next couple of trading sessions would do well. My first call is a buy call in Havells. This stock is clearly in an uptrend, continuously forming higher tops and higher bottom. And recently we have seen that every dip into the stock has been bought into. After 6-7 days of consolidation near the support zone, yesterday the stock has shown initial signs that the prices are again ready to move higher for the resumption of the uptrend. So keeping a stop loss below 352, one should go long in Havells at current levels for target of 390. My second call is a buy call in BEL. Probably you have seen that recently the defense sector stocks have done well, especially BEL. The stock has given a breakout from a broader symmetrical triangle, and after this breakout the stock rallied again. Last few days have consolidated, and yesterday it has shown signs of resumption of the up move. So we are expecting a target around 1350 in very short term in this stock, so one should go long in BEL with stop loss below 1240. And my last call would be one sell call in Zee Limited. Probably although the stock has moved up significantly if you see last 2 to 3 months chart, but there is a bearish harmonic pattern formation around the higher levels of 400 and 460, 462. And as per the pattern, there should be a corrective move within this uptrend. So just to that the trend would resolutely remain up, but that would be a corrective move within this uptrend. For target around 430, one can look to go short in Zee Limited, keeping a stop loss above 466.
All right, let's look at Jayant Agro. You have the stock, and then if you can bring up Emami Infrastructure. And then if you can look at Tarmat, T-A-R-M-A-T. So Jayant Agro, you can see it's a clean, neat chart. You have a 1-year chart on this one, copybook style chart. Also, we'll look at Emami Infrastructure. That one started to move up. So there's the chart for you. So, you know, my thought is, yes, by all means, please listen to all the analysts. But also, if you also take a look at the chart, you know, sometimes it's self-explanatory. Why has the stock gone up? You know, and that's very important. You have to look at it yourself. That will be a big help to you. Third, Tarmat, T-A-R-M-A-T. And, you know, it's like anything else. You keep reading 1,000 charts, you'd be surprised how quickly they come to you. You know, you can see it and say, wow, something is happening here. Tarmat you don't have. Okay, so IIFL Holdings, which is that India Infoline, you have that one. And then Cholamandalam Investment. So let's just put those two up. We'll take a look at it, and then I'll... so no, IIFL, maybe it picked up yesterday, but no, it doesn't have any pattern. Can you... same here, in fact, they seem to be hitting supports. Okay, your thoughts, Mohit, on these ones? Jayant Agro, Emami Infrastructure, Tarmat if you have, and then IIFL and Cholamandalam.
Well, Jayant Agro, Emami Infrastructure and Tarmat are all locked in upper circuit, which means that there is further upside. So Jayant Agro could move towards levels of 250, 255 on the upside. As far as Emami Infrastructure goes, even that can move higher towards levels 65 to 70. It's got a very good chart and it's trading at all-time, at least 52-week highs. Tarmat, the last one, is also looking good in the charts. We've seen a good up move. We saw this breakout a few days back and could move higher towards levels of maybe 50 to 55 on Tarmat. As far as IIFL goes, it's looking good in the charts because we've seen a correction after a big up move and breakout. So it's trading at support zones of 210. We could see it move to higher levels of 230 to 235 in the coming days. So that's a buy with a stop loss at 215. And lastly, Chola Finance, that also is looking good in the charts, which seems some kind of up move after a correction back to support zone. So we could see this move towards levels of 1000 in the coming days. That's a buy with a stop loss at 920.
Right. Hemant Tukral is also joining us right now. He, of course, takes care of derivatives at Aditya Birla Money. Hemant, Morning, always a pleasure to speak to you. Your initial thoughts on how we should look at this market ahead of this major global event, the UK, and also in light of the changes we have in the FDI policy. I mean, some of these are longer term changes, and it's not necessarily the market, I mean, it can react a little bit, that the market can factor in all immediately.
Yeah, good morning, Ashu. Ashu, first of all, I'll just take a minute on Nifty. See, I have a feeling that Nifty is still in that broad range. I think it got volatile. That's why people have been seeing it moving up or down. But broadly, right from the day one, 8,000 puts and 83 call. These are two writing positions that people have been holding, and I still feel that this 83 call writer, unless until we see unwinding happening, that means unless until we cross 83.30 on the upside, you may not see a range breakout happening. So you may remain between 8,050 to 83.30 for this week also, till we don't get out of that UK event. Now, yes, for intraday traders or for short-term traders, now if you are having a long position, the stop loss should be 81.90 or 82.10, because if it goes below that, then it will again try to go back towards the lower side of the range. But broadly speaking, for positional traders, I think range has been intact from 8,050 on the downside and 80 to 83.10, 83.20 on the upside. So I don't see that range changing before the UK. Interestingly, before the event itself, all volatility indices across the world have started to come down. Now this can be because of the survey start to showing that maybe Britain will remain. Obviously the final outcome we will come to know on Friday itself. But because the volatility has come down, where it is helping you now is to hedge positions. What we have recommended people is that if you have a pure long portfolio, at least buy 81 puts on the downside. The reason is because of the VIX dropping, the premiums have dropped. So that's a good thing. Ahead of an event, the volatility coming down. FIs have been selling index options from last 3 days, clearly signaling that volatility is coming down. So that is why I am of this opinion, if you want to safeguard yourself against an event, against your long portfolio, at least buy puts of Nifty, because the premiums have come down. But overall, as I said, still in a broad range, 8050 to 83.20. If you break up above 83.20, then I think you are in for a very big rally even before the expiry.
Hemant, we've had an interesting scenario where PSU banks have had significant moves up. And I mean significant, that some of them actually rise 10% in a day. Some of them don't even have too much floating stock. Could you identify 2 or 3 on the futures and options side where you think there is significant momentum and there may be low risk in buying on margin?
See, actually we have recommended 2, and we continue to hold 2 stocks from last 2 days. One is State Bank of India. That's a large cap stock. I think you should prefer that stock. 2 reasons behind it, Ashu. One, we have seen the put writers shifting their position from 190 to 200, now to 210. So now unless until it breaches below 208, I think it's heading towards 222, 225. So SBI should be, as a trader, you should buy SBI with a stop loss of 208, especially on days of dips. Secondly is Canara Bank. Now this PSU bank is interesting. Reasons, it got into very fast the band and it could not participate with all the PSU banks while rallying on the higher side. Now from last 2 to 3 trading sessions, we have seen accumulation happening. Stock has been started to move up and now it is out of FNO ban period. So I think if you keep a stop loss of 203 from where Canara Bank has given a breakout, the next target comes at 219220. And I am not saying that Bank of India, Oriental Bank, they are also seeing superb accumulation on the open interest. They will remain as buying picks. But for me, these 2 picks looks the best. So if you are preferring large cap, then SBI, and if you are preferring mid cap, then Canara Bank. I feel both of the targets can be achieved in next 2 to 3 trading sessions.
Okay, Kiri Industries, Magna Fincorp, Banari Amman Sugar, Kesar, and a lot more other stocks. But I got to take that break. Rich is going to be with us, so is Mohit, so is Hemant. We'll speak to all three of them in just a moment. You're watching Street Smart. A couple more stocks. If you have a paper and pencil, please write them down and we'll go through them. Kiri Industries, can we put up a one-day chart and a 3-month chart? Then also Magna Fincorp. I'm also going to put up some stocks where the volumes are, sorry, not the greatest, but they're interesting. So a 3-month chart on this one. Kiri. Kiri has been pretty good even on a 1-year chart. You have that one? And Magna Fincorp. Yeah, so okay, you can see how the candles have gone up. You have Magna Fincorp, then Banari Aman Sugar, and Kesar Enterprises. Yeah, you can just keep changing. Don't wait for it. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's look at Kesar Enterprises. That chart's also been pretty good over the last 3 months. And of course, Asahi Songwon. Can you just bring up that ASAHI Songwon Colors? A 3-month chart and now a 1-year chart on this one, because this one you can see the spectacular rise this stock has had over the 1 year. You have that chart? Yeah, so we'll put up Asahi Songwon. Then Lumax Industries, Cineline, and Chemfab Alkalis. Ruchit, just very quickly, I'll take 2 stocks with you, Asahi Songwon and Kiri Industries, if you happen to look at either of 2.
Asahi Songwon, probably this stock had given a good breakout in this on 15th of June. If you observe last 1 or 2 years of chart, then 179, 180 was a major resistance for the stock, and the stock has traded in a broad range of 180 to 100 for a period of almost 2.5 years. So I think that's a good breakout which you have seen. Now the 180, which was the earlier resistance, would now positionally become a strong support for the stock. Although from trading perspective, one can keep a stop below 195 also, but positionally 180 is a good base for which the stock has now formed. So I think the trend would resolutely remain up for the stock. Retracement targets are projecting around a 240, 242 zone wherein the stock could go. So probably amongst both these stocks, Asahi Song looks good from a short term as well as medium term trading perspective. Kiri Industries, last few months it has already moved up significantly. Although there are no bearish signs over here that the stock would go down, the stock could remain in the uptrend and could go further higher. But definitely it's one of the stocks that which you are already, if you are already holding at lower levels, then you just need to trail your stop loss higher and keep holding the stock unless any bearish pattern is formed. So for already those who are long into the stock, they can keep stop loss below 330 levels now and remain long in the position.
All right, Rajit. Okay, let's take a look at the opening, the pre-mo opening quote, so to speak. Here's, the market's going to be in suspended animation, so I don't expect too much action. I mean, if you look at from a larger perspective, you just have to keep what may happen in the UK in mind, and then we can look at it, and the market's pretty much dealing with it that way. So Reliance, interesting, it's close to 1,000. I hadn't noticed it, but let's look at some of the banks. We have State Bank of India and also HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. So we'll Hemant mentioned State Bank, so we'll just come back to you it in just a moment. And also a couple of other stocks, ONGC, HPCL, BPCL. So markets are going, at least institutional investors are going to be on hold. If anything, there's not going to be much excitement on a lot of these stocks. Okay, we'll continue to look at that. 2 stocks, if I can take them with you, Mohit. Magna Fincorp, and let's take a look at Lumax Industries.
Sure. So Magma looks pretty good in the chart. It's seen a good up move yesterday. We could see levels of 115 to 117 next. From at those levels, you'll see some kind of supply because that was a previous concession zone. So 116 to 117 on the cards. That's a buy with a stop loss at 107 for targets of 116 to 117. As far as Lumax goes, that also is looking good in the chart. It's seen a very strong uptrend the last 3 weeks or so. That could be bought with a stop loss at 700. We could see targets of 750 to 760 in the coming weeks.
Okay. So, just on the rupee, first of all, there are 2 parts to the rupee. One is that if you see any, if any of these foreign direct investments come in, the amount is pretty huge. But usually it is what we call lumpy, which it comes at some point. But our outflows are not really lumpy. I mean, they're because we have to import oil every month. So those flows are not. It's a general thought. Do you have a chart on the rupee? It'll be interesting. I just wanted to look at the chart. Yeah, Deep. So let's just put up a chart. Let's put up a 3-month chart. And do we have it on candlestick? No. It doesn't matter. Let's put up a 3-month chart and a 1-year chart. Okay, perfect. Let's look at the rupees chart. So if you look at the rupee on a 3-month basis at 67.42, it breaks out. Now some people tell me you can't read charts in the rupee. I don't really understand how that's possible. You can read a chart on anything where there's psychology. So that's basically how you have to look at it. Let's look at a 1-year chart on the rupee and see if there's a real breakout in the rupee. A breakout on the lower side. Do you have that 1-year chart? Yeah, so we'll take a look at this. Yeah, you can just bring it up and then we'll go back to the stocks. So here's the 1-year chart for you of the rupee. Now at around 68, maybe 67, that's the final frontier for the rupee. I mean 69, and then it can basically head anywhere. So once you've broken all resistances, you can go anywhere. At the moment, looks like it'll head to 68, 98 because doesn't seem, maybe if it crosses 67.50 then there's very little resistance on the rupee if you're looking at it technically. Okay, Hemant, first of all I wanted to thank you for picking State Bank of India, but what usually happens is that we're all looking for stocks that are 50 rupees and 100 rupees, especially when I have to play a margin. Any thoughts, any suggestions you can give in that 50, 100 rupee category where somebody could play on the margin and buy a future basically?
See, among the mid caps, very difficult to choose 50 to 100 rupees, but in any case, among the mid caps, what I feel is that real estate stocks are still showing some momentum, and I don't think that momentum is going to come down very easily the way the open interest is being built up. So DLF and HDIL both are 100 rupees, if not exactly 50. I think both of them are looking strong. HDIL has crossed 100 yesterday, and it is crossing these levels on back of good volumes and good open interest being built up. I think any dip should be utilized as a buying opportunity. 98 is the stop loss on HDL now. You are heading towards 110. DLF, which has given a breakout above 131, is now building on that breakouts. So I think it is heading towards 150, 152, but you have to keep a stop loss of 131. So both the real estate stocks, I think they are looking strong, and they should be bought on any dip because of the market conditions. They can be bought on. Both of them are attracting long positions and on every dips.
Even just very quickly, let's say there is a downside risk in the market. Let's say I just want to play insurance policy premium. How bad an idea can it be to buy some puts on the Nifty and just sit with it? If for some reason Brexit happens, you may make out like a bandit. There's short term, the chance that your money will decay is very low, and the premium at the moment will be low. Your thoughts on just buying a put, and which put can you buy, on the Nifty itself or the Bank Nifty?
See, I would put it this way, Ashu, if you are hedging your portfolios, then I think it is good to buy puts of 81. Otherwise, I would not buy puts. I would prefer selling calls of 85 or maybe an 84, because even if the event doesn't happen, I think market has already discounted that there is no Brexit. So I think you will have a knee-jerk reaction, but I don't see crossing 8400 in this expiry. So one is that you can sell 84 call to get the premiums out. The other option is that if you are hedging your portfolios, buy a 81 put. I think that's yesterday the way the premiums have come down because of the volatility index coming down. I think that's a good bet to buy onto to hedge your portfolios. In fact, if you want to hedge it completely, you can buy a 81 put and sell an 85 call. The premiums, you will not even pay a good, the premium you are paying is just 10 to 15 rupees, that's the net premium. And you will only come into trouble if Nifty crosses 85, which looks difficult for this expiry, at least to me. So I think if you are hedging portfolio, the perfect strategy would be to buy a 81 put and sell 85 call.
All right, Gaurang Shah, Vice President Geojit PNB Paribas is also with us. Gaurang, good morning. Always a pleasure to speak to you. I'll not get into the details of FDI. That obviously seems very good for job creation and for the economy. I wanted to just speak to you about which sectors benefit. I was just looking at the fact that if we have 5 or 10 million jobs created through ancillary and through creation of all these new greenfield ventures, consumer, auto, banks, financial services, but it also seems that sectors like airlines and pharmaceuticals would now run into turbulence because you have so much more competition, so much more salaries to increase. Just your thoughts, Gaurang, not from the economic perspective, but from the listed equity space perspective.
So, thanks Ashu, always a pleasure to speak to you. I think it's first of all work in progress, and the flows to come in, it's going to take a while because these are changes that have been made in the FDI policy. There are ground level issues which the government has to deal into, and most importantly is the taxation and entry and exit route. So I believe that it was good to see the announcement come in yesterday after the disappointment of Governor Rajan moving out after his tenure is completed. And there are 9 more sectors, I believe, which the government is working on in terms of changes as far as the FDI policy is concerned. The biggest trigger to me, Ashu, is going to be the GST, because that's going to change a lot of equation and how people look at India in terms of investment destination. FDI in aviation, defense and pharma announced yesterday. They go down well because defense was already there for a long time, and that announcement was already there in the public domain. What has surprised me is the aviation sector, because this sector is highly competitive. There are some big failures, and that is not only in India, Ashu, but aviation companies are struggling to make profit across the world. And the only sweet spot that was there for the aviation sector was the lower ATF prices. And with crude hovering at about 49 on the NYMEX and $50 on the Brent, expectation of an uptick could spoil the party for the aviation sector. So my belief is that it's a little bit premature to jump into sector or stock picks. You need to have some more clarity, and post that, I think, look at incumbents which have the potential to possibly attract FDI investment. But I would say that maybe mid cap and small cap could be the first area where one should look at. And if you're looking at small cap, I think it is all the more prudent on my part to advise you that you need to put your investment under the microscope.
One of the things that had happened which kind of passed through the market was in the national pension scheme. The government allowed NRIs to invest both on repatriation and non-repatriation basis. And now, why is that important? We've got about 12 million NRIs out there, and most of the places they live, they don't even get 1% interest rate. So here you're getting 7-8% and it's repatriable. And the national pension scheme, basically whatever money comes in, they will invest as per your mandate, which is if you want it to be in equities, that's where it will go. That was a significant change, but for some reason I noticed not much conversation on it. Again, it may take some time, but it's very positive. So let's look at a couple of stocks. GIC Housing Finance, Max Financial Services, we can put those stocks up. SKS Micro, which Mohit mentioned, M&M Financial, he's mentioned also, so I'll put that one up. GIC Clean Chart, let's go on. Max Financial Services, let's see what kind of chart do we have. Okay, this one seems to have taken a little dip, but again it was news based, so I won't rely too much on the charts here. SKS, yeah, so clean, but as I said, it was news based. SKS Micro, M&M Financial, what Bharat Financial? No, we don't want Bharat. This is SKS Financial turn to Bharat. Okay, fine, we'll go with it then. And now let's put up M&M Financial and NTPC. Okay, M&M, Mohit, I'll have to ask you why you picked this, because this stock actually seemed to be taking a dip. But if you can comment on SKS Micro, M&M Financial, and NTPC.
Sure. So M&M Financial has actually taken a dip, but it's coming back strongly on yesterday's trade. The major is still higher and it's still trading above crucial support zones of 300 to 290. So it's a buy. You could see levels of 330 to 335 on M&M Financials. That's a buy with a stop loss at 315. As far as SKS goes, it's got a very clean chart. It's seen a good up move yesterday. And next levels are 705 to 710. It's a buy with a stop loss at 690. As far as NTPC goes, again trading near 52-week highs and can move to levels of 160 it's a buy with a stop loss at 152 for targets of 160.
Ruchit, can we also bring up LIC Housing Finance and Manappuram? Then I'll just take and Muthoot Capital and Muthoot Finance, because it's this entire space. So LIC Housing Finance also seems to be close to a breakout. Maybe around 481. Again, we'll come back to it. Just Muthoot Capital, you can see the charts are clean. Muthoot Finance, Manappuram Finance. Ruchit, if you've looked at any of them, GIC Housing Finance, Max Financial, Muthoot Finance, Muthoot Capital, Manappuram Finance, and LIC Housing Finance.
Well, Ashu, probably I think housing finance companies would do well going ahead. If we look at the charts, then GIC Housing Finance obviously has been forming this high top, high bottom. It's almost trading near its all-time high levels. So I think this momentum in housing finance would continue even within this space. LIC Housing being a bit large cap, semi-large cap, and hence we are not seeing that big momentum coming in the stock as we are seeing in the other mid-cap stocks. So I think if one is to go pick up anything amongst the housing finance, we are preferring to go long on Dewan Housing and GIC Housing. Dewan Housing also probably has not done that well in the recent past. If you see on the charts, although the stock has given a breakout from a falling trend line, again the prices have retraced back to that support in last few days. So I think there's a good risk reward ratio to go long on Dewan Housing Finance amongst this space. So I think housing finance space should be preferred. Dewan Housing would be the preferred pick amongst this space.
Just a quick thought from you, Hemant. You mentioned Indiabulls Real Estate. Actually, there are some structural changes happening in real estate, which is a company sitting with big assets can now move them into real estate investment trusts. Could it be possible that some of these real estate stocks, like Indiabulls Real Estate, I won't put HDL in that category because they don't have that kind of assets, or DLF, could turn into multi-baggers? Is there some indication? Because then you can take a futures position and just keep on rolling it.
See, they are starting giving breakouts now. Whether they will become a multi-baggers or not, difficult call to take right away. But definitely they are looking good to go up further 10 to 15%. That I can clearly see from the charts and as well as the data points that are adding up. So DLF qualifies as a good buy, so is HDL. I did not comment about IB Real today because IB Real is under an FNO ban. So that's why I did not comment it. But overall, IB Real is also looking strong till it holds above 93. I think slowly or steadily it will move towards 102. But for today, if you are taking a trading position, prefer DLF or HDL because these two are out of the FNO ban and are looking strong.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to you and just check with you what's the issue with Indiabulls Real Estate. That's a very interesting comment you made. So we'll take a look at that. But let's start out with the index market. Right now, the general mood is one of suspended animation, which is don't do anything kind of a scenario. But if you have futures positions, obviously you're on margin. So if a huge margin call is there, it will of course make it a little difficult for you. So these are the opening quotes. First, so most of the banks. Again, I'll separate the bigger banks from the smaller ones because the smaller ones have a mood of their own. First, we'll take a look at some of the bigger banks. And then most of them, of course, reflecting a little bit of weakness. But Reliance, let's take a look at Reliance if we can and see if that one's held up or not today. So even Reliance, but that's fine. The overall mood is cautious and kind of falls into that scenario. Now let's look at a couple of so we'll look at some of the smaller stocks. Bring up Tarmat if we can. And if we can look at Cineline, we'll see if any of these stocks have. We can start taking smaller ones because the bigger ones I don't think would be doing much. So we can bring up Tarmat. Yeah, okay. Let's look at Indian Bank because yesterday it had a significant move. Whether that's been able to hold up. You have Indian Bank, okay. So today, but again, when you have a significant move of 10-15%, essentially some institutional investor or somebody picked up. Store One Retail, can we bring up that stock? Let's look at if that one is held up. Store One Retail. All right, so there you've got a huge uptick. You have Kesar Terminals. I just happened to see that stock, but the chart I'll look for you later. I don't know if the charts are clean, but anyway, we'll put up that stock. And R Systems. Yeah, so again, no, not Enterprises, Kesar Terminals, if you happen to have that. Yeah, and let's bring up R Systems International and also, yeah, R Systems. You have Rana Sugar and Mangalam Timber. So I'll show you some of the ones. Jayant Agro, wherever the charts are clean, we'll take a look at them. Jayant Agro, and then we'll get into some detail on whether the charts will hold up or not. Yeah, so that's Mangalam Timber. All Cargo Logistics. and some of those offshore companies, again, GOL offshore. My only thought with offshore companies is, let me look at the charts before you go any forward, because rigs don't get installed every morning and taken out the day after that. These are longer term contracts. But anyway, every time oil prices move up, there is a certain excitement about some of these stocks. But we'll take a look at them. So Jindal Drilling, okay, fine. Can you bring up Canara? If we can look at Canara Bank, if that's held up. And also Imami Infrastructure, if that's held up. Imami was again on a roll for quite some time, so there's a stock for you. Arrow Textiles, do you have this stock? Arrow Textiles, and also if we can take a look at Magna Fincorp and Asahi Songwon Colors. So if you can bring up those stocks. So most of the activity, even if it's happening. Asahi Songwon Colors is actually Lumax Industries. It's actually happening on the Cine line. It's actually happening on the smaller stocks, where probably they, and in fact it's a good strategy because you're kind of delinked from the overall move in the market. So just coming back to the whole thought on the futures side of it, Hemant, just coming back to the futures side, if you were to go into some of the bank stocks, and I know from the PSU bank perspective, anywhere you find significant momentum that can be then translated into either a options position or a futures position.
See, as I earlier suggested, within the PSU banks, I still feel that SBI should be bought at dips among the large caps. I think you will see some dips coming in during this time, and the stock has given a clear breakout now, so I think it's heading towards 225. Keep a stop loss of 208 on the same, so and buy on dips. That's the best way. You will get one or odd days like yesterday and buy it on dips. Among the mid caps, I would like to buy Canara Bank, because that's a bank which I think will catch up now with everyone. It was left behind because of the ban, and I think now it's seeing good amount of open interest being built up. So keep a stop loss of 200, and I think slowly it will move towards 220, 225. So I think Canara Bank is one which I will buy among the mid cap PSU banks.
Gaurang, I was trying to look at the build-up of our pension funds and the build-up of even the NPS and some of the longer-term funds, if I may use the word. I mean, even small countries like the Norwegian pension fund are $1 billion. In countries like Malaysia, the pension funds almost control most of the stock, so the stock prices hardly ever go down. Could we be very close to that inflection point, Gaurang, where even an incremental change that the government allows, which says, let's say 10% in equity, could really send these stocks into very strong hands, which is basically, yield to maturity kind of guys who don't basically sell off. Your thoughts on that, Gaurang, because we've always looked at the economic side of it, but not on the growing corpus of pension funds.
Well, actually, I think yes, I do agree with you that even a small percentage of the funds coming into the equity market would definitely drive the markets to a different level altogether, and especially the attraction towards the large cap, given the FI holding and of course vis-a-vis the participation from the domestic institution stroke retail side, we need to have larger support coming in from such pension funds who have big money and who can deploy that. The only problem or question is that whether the government should leave it at the discretion of an individual, whether he or she wants the pension fund to park his or own or his or her or his money into the equity market. I think that's a little bit debatable, because remember one thing, each individual has a different risk appetite and level of the same. So my sense is that yes, it is overdue. How do they structure this is what something one needs to see.
Okay, any after market opening, if you've seen any technically strong moves?
Sure. So India Cements is looking good. It's one that's not moved higher like the other cement stocks. This could be bought with a stop loss at 103. for targets of 110. Also, GAIL is looking good in the charts and has seen a good up move today. We could move towards levels of 400 here. It's a buy with a stop loss at 388. From the stocks that you spoke about, Kesar Terminal or KTIL is actually looking good in the charts. It's seen a good breakout out of a long sideways consolidation and could move to levels of 550 next. So that's a buy with a stop loss at 495 for targets of 550.
Richard, anything you've seen after the markets have opened?
I think PTC India is one of the mid-cap stocks which is looking good. Probably even if we see some from positional perspective, then the stock has given a breakout from 1.5 years of range-bound activity. So I think the momentum is quite strong over here. I'm expecting a target of around 81 in next few days for the stock. So one can go long in PTC India, keep a stop loss below 73 rupees for target of 81.
Okay, Richard, thanks a ton for joining us. Hemant, thank you for taking the time.